Hi, this is Broderick Brown here. Today, it was announced that Bill Cosby won his appeal and he was set free. And Bill Cosby's case is a perfect example of the power of deposition testimony. And I'm going to link it to the Deshaun Watson matter. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe. Again, my name is Attorney Broderick Brown. I'm a licensed attorney here in the state of California. Now, when I first heard about the Bill Cosby matter around the time that Hannibal Buress did his stand-up routine or whatever, and I read the deposition transcript, for the life of me, I couldn't understand why Bill Cosby's attorneys would ever allow him to be deposed in a matter that was still under the statute of limitations. I was just completely confused and dumbfounded by that because there was no upside. Similarly to the Deshaun Watson case, it looks bad either way potentially. So in this case, Bill Cosby testified that at the bare minimum they were taking, he would take drugs with women and then they would have sex. I think that there's conflicting testimony within the deposition transcript, but we can agree on that amount, or at least on that amount. Excuse me. We can agree on that point. His alternative would have been to plead the fifth. Now, what I didn't know when I first initially read his transcript was that he had an agreement with the district attorney that they wouldn't prosecute him for that crime. And so he felt like he had the liberty to speak freely in his deposition. But the thing about a deposition is that you're providing testimony under penalty of perjury. It has the same legal effect as if you are testifying in front of a judge or a jury. And in this case, his agreement with the district attorney was verbal and it wasn't entered into a court record or it wasn't signed in writing. And so that agreement was contested when the district attorney he made the agreement with lost his re-election bid or didn't go up for re-election, and a new district attorney came in, and the new district attorney decided to prosecute the matter. Now, how this relates to the Deshaun Watson matter is this. Deshaun Watson at some point is going to be deposed. If he pleads the fifth, it looks bad for his civil case. It's going to be a public relations disaster for the NFL. If he tells his version of the story, it potentially exposes him to criminal liability. So if he says that, my encounter with this masseuse was completely consensual, that's one of only two elements that they need to prove to convict him of felony sexual assault in Texas. And so, in my opinion, it does him no benefit to discuss the actual details of the matter in a deposition when he does have the money to settle the case and to make it go away. Because that was the most interesting thing about the Bill Cosby situation is that him and his attorneys went out of the way to get an agreement with the district attorney to basically get immunity for that charge. But then at the same time, because he wanted immunity because he wanted to defend the civil case. And he argued to the DA that he can't defend the civil case if there's a chance that he may be prosecuted. So he gets the immunity. But then he sits for the deposition in the civil case, and he still ultimately pays to settle the civil case. That makes no sense. Why sit for the deposition if you were going to agree to cut her a 7-figure check anyway? Might as well just cut her the 7-figure check without the hassle of sitting for a deposition and making the statements he did make on the record. And so at least that's my philosophy. And I think that that's something that can be learned for everybody, because you may be deposed in a car accident. You may be deposed in a landlord-tenant matter. You may be deposed in a family court matter. The important thing to remember is that a deposition, even though most times it's going to take place in an informal setting, in an attorney's conference room or someone's office, it has the same legal effect as if you were testifying in front of a judge or a jury. And so keep that in mind. And, you know, anytime that there could be potential liability, in my opinion, it's best to either plead the fifth or not be deposed if you can avoid being deposed. And I'll give you an example. One time I had a client who was assistant on making a wage loss claim. And he operated a cash business. And so during the middle of the deposition, the defense attorney asked, well, did you file your taxes in this year, in year XYZ? And I objected, and I didn't allow my client to answer, but ultimately we had to drop the wage loss claim or we ended up dropping the wage loss claim because it wasn't that amount. It wasn't that much money, but I didn't want him to testify that he didn't file taxes under penalty of perjury for years XYZ. I didn't want him to testify that he was basically making money under the table, because there's a potential that the IRS could get a hold of that deposition testimony and use it against him in a tax proceeding. Now, the chances of that may be slim, but it's always a possibility. And so anytime you're being deposed, you want to make sure that you are being truthful and honest, but at the same time, you don't want to incriminate yourself. That's my thoughts on the Bill Cosby thing. My thoughts on the appeal, I think that based upon the former district attorney's testimony in court, where he testified that he had an agreement with Bill Cosby, I think that the Court of Appeals or the Supreme Court in Pennsylvania made the right decision. Now, that's not my opinion on whether Bill Cosby sexually assaulted the woman or whether Bill Cosby sexually assaulted anybody. But as it relates to the law, I believe that his legal team was right, that he had immunity, and that was the only reason why they were able to get that deposition testimony, which was really the foundation of the criminal case. If you have any thoughts, please share them in the comments. Give me any feedback on this video. I'm sorry that it's been so long since my last video, but hopefully I'm able to produce a lot more comments or a lot more content for you guys in the near future. Thank you so much.